So I was thinking, while I was just sat here recording highlights, I might as well just record a different type of video that I've been wanting to do for a while, but I've never really got around to doing. And I'm someone who, when I watch YouTubers, when I watch creators, I love being able to chill with them. For me personally, when I play Albion, I don't actually I don't watch Albion content. For me, streamers and creators, anybody can play a game, but to truly get down on a personal level, there's no roads here, but to truly get down and feel like you have something with a creator and to enjoy a creator, I feel like personality is more important than anything nowadays. I mean, you little goon heads, you just watch all this fucking random shitty content. What do they call it nowadays? Oh, this brain rot content, this skibbity fucking toilet and whatever that shit is. But I kind of figured maybe I should start doing some storytelling videos. Maybe I should get you guys chatting in the comments. Maybe I should get you guys chatting in the chat. So if you like this type of video and you just want to chill with me sometime, you want to just hear me tell some stories, or you just want to have a full-on blown conversation with me, then I'll leave my Twitch down in the comment section below for you guys to easily click on. I stream pretty much most days, and to be fair, if you don't know when I'm going to go live specifically, my Discord is also in the description rather than the comments. Maybe I'll chuck them both in the comments for you easily, and on there you'll just get a notification as, when I go live. So like I was saying, I used to watch daily uploads from, it was COD streamers. I used to be such a FaZe Clan little fanboy, but I used to watch daily uploads where they'd just chat. The gameplay didn't matter. Obviously, if there's any gameplay in this video today, great. If there's not, well, I apologize. I make a lot of highlight videos, but I kind of just wanted to do some storytelling and see how good I was at it. So today's video, I was planning on telling you guys how I got specifically to this point, from little baby Banj up to big boy Banj, playing at 24 years old, playing Albion for a living, what my steps have been along the way, everything content creation, everything gaming, even some life stuff in there maybe. So I was born in London, okay, and I used to share a little games room with my two brothers. Back then, I was born in 2000, the year 2000, and back then all we had available was one of those big white box HP computers with the giant square was it DVI? It's not DPI, maybe it's DPI, I can't even remember. Monitors that it had the little blue cable that goes into the back of it with 16 pins. I can't even remember what it's called. So we had that and a PlayStation 2. Now my brothers used to love hogging the PlayStation 2. We had probably 200, 300 games, something like that, in a big black garbage bag, just absolutely crammed with games. But my main thing is I used to love sitting on the PC, and I used to love playing weird shit, I don't even know, back in the day it was Club Penguin and stuff like that. I was just always interested in the PC. And now I was probably around about honestly at this point 6 years old, and I remember specifically the only game I would ever realistically play, or the only games I should say I used to realistically play when I used to get a chance on the PlayStation 2, was Spyro, Prince of Persia, COD Finest Hour. That is a banger of a game. I'd love to play that again. There was a Hot Wheels game I used to like as well, and then also, all the SpongeBob games, Tony Hawk Underground 2, Need for Speed. But in reality, I never really played too many games. I was always interested and fascinated in gaming. I always knew how much I love gaming. We had so many games there. It was never ending. What the choices were for the day, I could not choose because we had so many games. Now back at this point, 2005, 2006, YouTube, at least as I know it, wasn't realistically a thing. It was only up until, 2008, 2009. I moved to France in 2007, okay? And in 2008, 2009, pretty confident, my mum bought us a Wii, and she also bought us a PS3. Now, at that point in my life, I had the PlayStation 2 pretty much all to myself. My brother had a laptop, which he started playing the video game Dofus on. I've done it in a few videos already. hands down the best MMO of all time, and to be fair, it still is. But for the most part, those two had that. My brother used to play the PlayStation 3. He used to play a lot of COD, and my other brother used to play a lot of Dofus. And whenever I would get a chance, I would hop in on the laptop. I'd be a spoiled little brat and like whine to my mum just so I could get an hour or two. But I was one of those players that I could never choose a name or a character. I always thought it was the most important thing in the world. In reality, I would waste my hour just sitting around contemplating what my name should be. Because if you got a cool name in an MMO back then, people respected you, all right? So my day-to-day was honestly just playing like James Bond games. I used to love 007 Nightfire and All or Nothing. And that's kind of how I first got into shooter games. But it was maybe like a year down the line that... I mean, I must have only been like 10 or 11 at this point. I remember I used to love watching my brother play COD, and I was never really good at it. Like, back in the day, it was like Rust 1v1s and stuff like that on MW2. And I was just so bad at playing COD. Like, I was awful. But at that time, I really wanted to play it as well. So what I ended up doing is I bought Black Ops 1 for the Wii and bought myself like, you know, your usual like games controller, like you have an Xbox or PlayStation 3. There was one that you could plug into a Wii remote and just play it like that. So I kind of just got into like sniping. After watching my brothers do it, I just got into sniping. I used to love playing against bots, and I never played anything online on the Wii because I never understood how to connect it to the network, or if you even could, to be fair. So now during this time in my life, like I said, oh, wait a minute, could be something here. No, definitely not. They're all gone. So now this time during my life, I was switching between playing Black Ops 1 on the Wii, getting absolutely violated by my brother and his friends playing MW2 and MW3 whenever I like used to get the chance to play split screen or anything like that. Or I would scream at my mum and my brother to let me on the laptop so I could play Dofus. And now after hours and hours and like honestly, like I used to grind Call of Duty for so many hours on end. Like I love COD. COD for me is probably my favorite game franchise because I just loved sniping. I like the thought of doing something that nobody else realistically could or was like challenging, and I've always loved challenging myself in games and doing things that, you know, just make you stand out. Like a good sniper in COD is the most annoying thing to deal with. And when I say sniper, I don't mean like sitting in the back of Nuketown in the garage and just hard scoping like a motherfucker down the right hand lane. I mean like full blown quick scopes and shit. I used to get into trick shotting as well back on MW2. And then in 2012, we actually ended up moving back to England from France. And my brothers kind of got more into like the PC stuff. And I still never really had a PC at this point. I basically got the sloppy seconds of the PlayStation 2. Sometimes my brother brought another laptop. So sometimes I'd play on his old laptop. But that Black Ops 1 on the Wii just went... disappeared. I never played it again, never seen it again. So now I was a little PlayStation 3 player, and I mean in 2012 I actually can't think what games were available, but I know from here I'm gonna skip a step. I was basically like, I mean this might not mean a lot to you guys, but I joined a lot of clans and stuff like that. I just got really good at sniping. I can't emphasize that enough. If you guys have ever seen my clips on stream of me sniping, you would know what I'm about to say is just not even baffling. It's just like, it's obvious. See, I got into COD and I used to play like on the same thing, MW2, MW3, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Ghosts when it came out. I mean, I can't even remember like the whole time what was going on, honestly. But I just remember joining clans and thinking somehow, some way, one day I was gonna make it into FaZe Clan or some shit. And I did pretty good for myself. I ended up in teams like, I mean, if you know Obey Alliance, I ended up in Obey Alliance. I had a lot of connections with like SAW. I had a lot of connections with like Synergy. Like those were big teams back in the day. And I mean, if you got into those, you were like, in the COD community, you were respected. So me being an Obey Alliance was like huge for me. And this was when I was like 15 or something. Now, during this whole time, I had something called a Roxio game capture, which is basically, like, if you know an Elgato, it's basically just an Elgato, just like the cheaper Wish.com version of it. Nowadays, it's what, Temu or something like that, wherever you can take the piss off. But it was just a really cheap version of it. I remember buying it on Amazon, and I actually ended up winning a competition locally to me, where I got a PC. Now, the PC was absolutely awful, but I was so good at Call of Duty that I took time off school one day to go compete in a Black Ops 2 free-for-all tournament. And I ended up coming first place by, like, such a wide margin. And the first place prize was, like, £250 and a PC. Now, the PC, like, now that I think about it, was probably only worth about £400. But hey, for me, that was great. Now I have something to capture my gameplay with. Now I have, you know, a PC to upload videos on. And that's exactly what I did. So I made the shittest Call of Duty montages you have ever seen, and I used to post highlights and stuff like that as well, thinking just one day things would work out for me, thinking one day this little 15-year-old was going to explode into bloom into like a little FaZe Clan flower. I remember I used to have a friend who liked editing, and still to this day he enjoys editing. Like, he edits for some like pretty big names out there, but he was so bad back in the day, and anytime I needed him to like edit anything for me, I would basically like take my lunch money and I would give it to him. Like, I used to get like £2-3 lunch money, and I used to give it to him just for like editing videos, because I was absolutely useless. I knew nothing at this point. So whereas most kids spent a lot of their time outside, I mean, again, I'm like 15, 16 at this point. Like, in England at least, most people were like going out, meeting friends and shit like that. I was always known to all of my friends as like the nerdy one. It was the ongoing joke that I would never leave the house. And like, it's true. It's so true. It wasn't up until I was like maybe like 17 that I started going out and being a degenerate, like just wasting my fucking life away. And I wish, honestly, like sometimes I reminisce and I miss those times, but there's a big part of me that wishes at the point I'm at now that I put a lot more effort into the thing I loved, which was just content creation in general. So I would always go out with my friends and stuff like that at a certain point, but then I'd always come back. And I even remember when I was like 15, 16, at this point, I'm pretty confident I had bought an Xbox 360. It was like a surprise to one of my friends, because back in the day, you didn't have cross-platform. Like nowadays, it doesn't matter what console you're on or what PC, like whatever you have, you can play with other players. But for me, I was the only one on a PlayStation 3. So I never got to experience things like Halo. Like, I've never played Halo in my life. But it was a surprise to one of my friends that I was going to buy myself an Xbox, and then I was going to get on... Oh, that's not a bad chest, actually. I was going to get on one day and I was going to surprise him, and the only thing he said was, wait, is that Banj? Because he recognized like my gamer tag back in the day. But I remember I used to go back and play MW3 with a friend of mine, Toby, and we used to stay up until like late nights, even for like a 15, 16-year-old. At this point, I don't even know what age I am. Like, I just remember playing, there was a game mode called Face Off 2v2, and we used to play that shit up until like 3, 4 in the morning, or pretty much up until his dad would come in, scream at him, and then he had like his plugs underneath the desk where it plugged like his monitor, like Xbox or that type of shit into. And I remember like specifically he would kick it so that he could turn it off. Like the moment you'd hear his dad screaming, you just hear it kick and then it would be gone. Now this individual has walked way too close and is going to regret doing so. Let's see if we can dodge it. He's going to do it. He's going to do it. 3, 2. Okay, well, he didn't do it, but now you've just pissed off the mob. What's the mob going for me for? What did I do? But yeah, these were like the really fun years, honestly. Like I just remember like the late night sessions with the boys. I'm sure all of you have done it. Like all of you remember, maybe it was during COVID. Like that's probably for most people where you remember it the most, just getting on and just like late nights, just chilling with the boys, just grinding games, no matter what game you played. Like we've all, I'm pretty confident, experienced that, unless you're just a lonely fuck And like you missed out, let me tell you missed out. And we would be like sniping and trick shotting and stuff like that. Like now that I think back to it, a lot of people thought it was cringe, but it was some of the greatest moments of my life. Like some of the trick shots I used to hit and stuff. And again, I was always like the best one. Even like out of all my friends now, I'll always be the best one at first person shooters. It's so hard to compete against me because I just grew up with them. Like I said, Black Ops 1, MW2, like I played them and I sniped for so long. I'm just lucky that I was gifted with being able to be a little gamer. Like is it a gift or is it more of a it's more of like an imprisonment? I got no bitches when I was younger. But yeah, going on, like so I started joining like little teams for like Call of Duty and stuff like that. And I always still believed one day I was going to make it into like FaZe Clan or some shit, but the end goal for me at this point was just blow up in content creation. And I would say it wasn't up until 2019, 2020 that I started taking it like really seriously. Actually, going back, I can still remember my first ever video that I made. And back in the day, Bandicam was a thing, but it wasn't my computer, so I didn't want to download Bandicam on it. I mean, I'm talking like, this is like 2010, so I've gone back in time now somehow. But I remember recording the video with my phone, shittest camera quality, moving all over the place because I couldn't keep still because I was trying to click at the same time. And I didn't know how to put music on top of videos because I was just so young. So what I actually did was, I remember there was an Avenged Sevenfold, it's a metal band. There was an Avenged Sevenfold song that I liked, so I clicked play on YouTube beforehand, and then I swapped over to Dofus, and it was basically just like how to make money in this game because I had found like a little system going back and forward. But yeah, now I've kind of just spiraled in a random direction. So back in 2020, 2021, roughly, I think, is when Call of Duty released. And now all of my friends at this point, or Call of Duty Cold War released, all my friends at this point had grown up. I mean, we're all like 20, 21-year-olds. So there was only like 2 other friends that I used to play COD with. We have found some viewers. Hello, everybody. Come on in then. Come on in. Now, if you go back, you'll definitely find some of my old videos. Let me lick your why is everyone always got to be weird? Like, why we got to be licking Banj's toes for? You don't even know what they look like. They're hairy, slight crustaceans, nothing too major though. But yeah, you'd be able to go back and watch some of my old shitty videos that just like were never good at all. Like, I spent way too long thinking that if I put a lot of memes in and I tried to make everything funny, then I would be different. But here's what I was kind of going to say earlier. I was so good at COD that I actually made it to the rank 1 COD player for 2020, 2021, or 21, 22. I can't remember. Whenever Cold War came out, I was the rank 1 COD player. And that's a fact that if you're in my streams, you'd know that about me. But I basically live up to that to this day. There's nothing more in my life that's ever gone further than that. But I ruined it. Like, I kind of went too far away from the point where I was getting the best clips in the world. If you know what sniping's like in COD, you know it's all about clips. It's all about, like, demonstrating how good you are. And I strafed away from that. I should have realistically, my God, I should have realistically spent a lot of time focusing on the actual clips and content rather than pissing around and trying to think everything needed to be funny. So I honestly wasted those 2 years, and I might get back into COD eventually, like maybe with Black Ops 7 coming out. But I want to talk about more how I got into Albion, because at this point I've just given you like a little baby Banj up to big boy Banj at this point. Like, I kind of set out to do that, but you're more interested in the Albion and stuff like that, how I ended up here, how I ended up in content creation, basically. Now at that point, I think I had about 900 subscribers, basically 900 subscribers. And I would only realistically get anywhere from like 30 views a video up until maybe like 100. I only have had one video do over 1,000 views. And I dabbled in a lot of different things because, you know, I had a PC now. Like, So I ended up downloading Valorant. I got into Valorant. Like, I liked it for a little bit, but for me, COD has always had my heart. Now, one day, all the boys got together and we were all sat in a call together, and Toby, who I said, like, I used to play MW3 with, he was a big RuneScape enjoyer. He was a big old school RuneScape enjoyer, and I got into it just to, like, you know, we play something together, because that was always for me, like, with everyone going out and living their own lives now, I kind of just wanted to, like, chill with the boys once again, and, you know, just play something together, be in a call together, and just have a good time. So I ended up downloading old school RuneScape, and now I probably only played old school RuneScape for about 3 hours before I realized I was bored of sitting in a mine collecting bones because he didn't tell me what to do. So I was bored and I searched up online games like old school RuneScape, or MMOs like old school RuneScape, and that's basically how I discovered Albion. And this would have been in, you know, 2020, what are we now, 2025? This would have been at the end of 2023, basically. Maybe early 2023. I can't remember exactly. I've played Albion now for just over 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. And, you know, my maths is shit, so I actually don't know what that would equate to in terms of time. But I came across Albion, and I'll be honest, I instantly fell in love with the game. I really did. And as much as I complain about Albion on my streams now, there was a point in time where I absolutely loved Albion, and I still think it's a great game. I think with anything, you kind of just outgrow it, and I mean that's fair. Like, you get used to games, you play them for a long time, you get to a certain skill level, you do a certain amount of content in the game. And for me at this point, it kind of feels like a single player campaign game, because roads are so dead, to the point where I've done everything, and now it's just replaying the campaign over and over and over and over again. But I remember when I got into Albion, I got into it with Toby and I got into another friend, Sam, and they played Albion for a little bit. I remember we would spend our days and nights, like, they really enjoyed it at the start, but we would spend our time doing solo dungeons, because at that point, I imagine most people were like this, we didn't really know what else to do besides solo dungeons, because we were too scared to get into PvP. We didn't really know how to get into PvP. We're just treating it like that traditional MMO. So the three of us would do solo dungeons in Yellow Zone, and the closest we got to any sort of PvP was like Yellow Zone warriors coming in with 8-3 gear and just beating the shit out of us and stealing our dungeons that, you know, we spent a lot of money on getting maps for. And now Toby got bored of it, which I completely understand. But Sam and me, we played on for a little bit. We eventually got into Red Zone. And now, my first ever experience in Red Zone, I spent running round the side of the map, not really knowing, like, who could kill me, and I was just so petrified. If I ever saw a name, I would sprint back to the Yellow Zone. We would go out of Limhurst, so I'm pretty sure the closest Red Zone to Limhurst is, like, Highbowl Glen, I think. Let me have a look. Yeah, we'd go Highbowl Glen. We'd start in Hornbeam Wood. That's when we did our little Yellow Zone dungeons in here, or you would, and we'd just go into Highbowl Glen, and we'd run around the edge of the map because we were too scared. And now, the first ever time I ended up in a red zone, I didn't know that people's names were red if they were flagged for PvP. I just thought we were all red because now we're in a red zone. Like, it didn't trigger in my brain that red means danger. So we went into our solo dungeon, and within about 30 seconds, we were absolutely dropped by a battle bracers. Like, the three of us just got absolutely dropped 30 seconds into the dungeon. We didn't know at the bottom right you could see how many players were flagged or anything like that. We were new to the game. We were 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in. And now, that battle bracers basically shaped who I am today. Because back then, I used to run a scythe. I probably used to run a scythe on like a Guardian armor, calling myself the tank of the group because I always thought I had the most experience or I had the most knowledge. I would play it like for so long. I used to play Albion for so long. Late nights, listening to music, grinding solo dungeons. I never really got into gathering, I don't think, but I definitely played the game a lot. I imagine within the first 3 weeks, I probably honestly had about 200 hours playtime, something like that. Now, the first few videos I ever made on Albion was when I started getting into corrupted dungeons. And for me at this point, I used to like playing Whispering Bow, and I used to like playing Battle Bracers because that guy violated us so hard. I just wanted to play that. So I used to make shitty little videos playing corrupted dungeons. And then one day I came across Equart's channel. And now Equart was doing something which was basically the reason why I got into Bracers, because I was now hooked on Equart's solo dungeon and group dungeon diving videos with battle bracers, assassin jacket with a bop helmet. And so I kind of got into that as well. I now went into Caerleon, and I sat around in solo dungeons, or I used to wait for people to come gank me in solo dungeons. I spoke about this in a few videos ago, like when I chose the builds from my old videos. I used to either sit in solo dungeons or sit outside of solo dungeons or find people doing solo dungeons, because back then the butterflies used to disappear on the outside. They're birds or butterflies, I actually don't know, but they used to disappear whenever somebody would go in. So I would find one that was like purple or gold or blue or whatever, and I used to wait outside and see when those disappeared that I knew somebody was inside, so I knew I could gank them. So from watching Equart, I kind of got into that whole dungeon diving, but also kind of 1vx gameplay. I used to challenge myself a lot in red zones, and what ended up being my favorite map was Kindlegrass Steppe. Now, the reason why I like Kindlegrass Steppe so much is because I imagine with TBanj being like a highly influential creator for a lot of beginner players, because he basically makes a lot of beginner guide videos, I could find myself the shittest players in that area because of like the misinformation and stuff like that. So I would go into the red zones closest to Bridgewatch, and I would just basically gank people out of their minds in there, because I knew more than likely they were going to be the shittest players I could come across. And I had some 1v3s, I had some 1v4s. If you go back and check my old videos, like I had some good fights, but it was never realistically enough for me. And then I joined a guild called Ganking Lords, I think it was called back in the day. And they basically took me into Black Zone. And they always wanted to be in videos, so I was always like a priority to be in the groups and stuff like that. And they wanted to showcase a lot of like ganking and stuff like that, because ganking back then, I got really good at it in Black Zone. I've done a lot of ZVZ, I kind of skipped that out. I got kicked from my first ZVZ guild because I actually knew better than the guild leader at the time. So I got together with a few of like my friends that were in the guild, and I said like, look, stop listening to this guy during ZVZ, we're going to do our own thing. And you know, we would be our own little bomb squad listening to Michael's. But Ganking Lords took me into Black Zone, never specifically Rhodes. Rhodes is what I got into when I started watching Equart and Coco collab. And now when I would watch them ganking people on blue chests and just ganking people in the old solo dungeons, like I wanted that badly. I wanted to basically copy what they were doing, but take my own unique like little personal twist on it. So I would commentate over it, and still to this day, I have that little personal twist where if I'm in a fight, I'm so relaxed and calm, what I try to do is just talk shit to players, almost as if they could listen to me while I was fighting against them. And that was like my whole twist, basically. And at that point, I was getting really, really good at the game. Not really good, I'm still a shit player in actual fact. Like, I know what I'm doing, but I'm nowhere near the top. As much as I've killed some of the top players in the game, I'm nowhere near the top. But funnily enough, Equart and Coco came across those videos and they liked me, and they really, really helped push me out to their audience and really like get Banji Boy on the map. So, you know, I'm thankful as hell that they came across me and they weren't, you know, selfish, and they even invited me into their own little friendship group. I remember playing with Equart for the first time. I was so nervous because at this point, I'd only be at like 1,500 subs or something like that, and I always looked up to bigger creators. But now me and Equart, we're fucking boys. Like, getting nervous to chat to Equart, I don't know how or why I was like that. But I remember Equart during the Easter event, he took me into Red Zone and Black Zone with him and another streamer called Coco Nutstick, and I absolutely fed. I got Equart killed so many times. Like, I was too nervous, I was too dumb. But you know, he didn't hate me for it. He still wanted to play more. And then we ended up getting into that little friends group of, you know, Equart, Coco, and me, and we used to go around as a trio and gank, and so many people miss that shit. But you know, people move on and everybody's got their own thing, especially with creators. We've all got to do our own thing, and you can't really build in content creation if you keep sticking around with other creators. Like, it's okay, it's fine, but people get old of it quickly. People want to see the 1vx gameplay. That is honestly the biggest thing in Albion, if you didn't know it. More people watch solo gameplay and more people watch like 1vx gameplay than anything. I mean, gathering is still at the top. There's more gatherers in the game than anything, but people love the 1vx gameplay because it's something that not a lot of people can do, but they would love to do. So at this point, I was absolutely like smashing out videos solo or in groups, stuff like that. And I was growing on YouTube very rapidly. At this point, within, you know, 6 months, I went from 1,000 subscribers up to like 10,000 subscribers. I absolutely, like, for the Albion community, I was really putting my name on the map, and I was becoming a really, really popular name. Even now to this day, I think I'm still like the top 5 searched most name on YouTube when it comes to like content creation. But we had to venture off, you know, there's new contents coming to the game at this point, like Mist came into the game, but for me, my heart has always been with Rhodes. I've always said that Rhodes just has everything to offer for me. You know, if I want to do a 1v1, I can find it in Rhodes. If I want to do 1v7, I can find it in Rhodes. If I want to gather, I can find it in Rhodes. If I want to do PvE, I can find it in Rhodes. So I kind of branched off and did my own little solo thing, and you know, I started really like growing in that way. I started streaming because of Equart and Coco. They really told me that I was funny and I should really get into streaming, and I was growing at this point. I was, you know, I went from 40 viewers to about 200 viewers in the space of like 2-3 weeks. Like, I really blew up in the Albion community. And now for me at this point, I always knew that to be a creator, you kind of have to either follow trends or be a trendsetter. And I trusted myself enough to be a trendsetter. So now you see people running around with the double, or you used to see people running around with double Hellion Stalker, you used to see people running around with double Hellion Death Givers. That was my idea. And it was just popularized by other creators that were bigger than me, like Coco used to start running that. The Bloodletters you see running around now, Bloodletter or Blood Moon Great Nature, those are all like my ideas. Like, I came up with those comps, and that was kind of how I put myself on the map in actual fact. Now, those were great times, but with the nerfs that Albion's done to solo players and different items, because specifically of like 1vx gameplay, it's made it hard to, you know, continue on with the legacy of, you know, the 1v7 Banj, the 1v10, 1v15, 1v20s, all this shit we've done. And I kind of forgot even about the arcane phase of Banj. There was a good 6 months, and in actual fact, it's probably what put me on the map. I was hands down the most exciting and probably one of the most competent arcane players in the game, and not a lot of people know me for that. A lot of people know me for the Blood Moon, actually. But what really grew me on Twitch was not only being, you know, funny, charming, handsome, tall, you know, giant dong, all of these features that I have. It was realistically the arcane, because with a support weapon, I was out there in Rhodes in 6.1, 6.2, and I was taking on teams of 7 players with that shit. I don't know how I did it. I mean, back in the day, it was a lot easier when you had focus fire protection as strong as it was. It was a lot easier, and I used to cheese players. I used to really be smart with it, but it kind of just faded away, and I wanted to switch into newer things. So for me, like I say, my niche has always been Rhodes. I dabble in other content. I've dabbled in other contents, but nothing really sticked, honestly. Like, nothing really stuck, because again, I go back to it. There's everything I need in Rhodes. I just enjoy the Rhodes, and I got really good at reading the Rhodes as well. Back before the last Rhodes update, I could tell you what was on every single map the moment you told me what that map was. I knew the Rhodes like the back of my cock. Like, I was so good. And I've done all sorts of content, from coming up with goofy builds to small scale to gathering 0 to hero. We've done normal 0 to heroes. I've done everything there is. And honestly, like the main reason why I'm making this video today and why I'm kind of reaching out almost is I want a few more of you guys to come onto the Twitch and tell me what content you want to see, because I'm stuck. I really am stuck. I don't know what to do at this point, and the reason why I'm getting bored with Albion is because I've played it for so long and I just don't know what people want to see. I get bored of doing the same thing over and over again. Like I try to come up with these creative builds at the moment. I try and, you know, we recently did a Gallopere video. We've done Forge Hammers. We've done Soldier Armor videos, but I kind of need to know what people want to see in the roads. A lot of my viewers from Twitch left because I could no longer do the 1v7 content that I could once do with the nerfs that Albion brought into solo players. So the content that I was once probably the best at in Albion, I could no longer do. And it kind of showed in my personality that I was getting frustrated, because there's nothing I love more than chucking on double Hellion jacket, going into a team that should absolutely violate me. Not running high tier, but just going into a team and destroying them and thinking and wondering what that Discord call must sound like, knowing that their whole team has just been violated by one player. So I think I've kind of given you a little bit of a rundown as to, honestly, my whole life in general, content creation. We're currently coming up to 30,000 subscribers, and I probably want to do something somewhat special for that. So if you guys got any ideas for that as well. I don't just want to do a giveaway, or if we are going to do a giveaway, I want it to be something special. Like we did a battle royale recently. Maybe we come up with another like viewer challenge like that we could do. But I just want to say thank you, because honestly, there was a point in time where I probably would have quit content creation if I'd never joined Albion. And for me as a content creator, I've always wanted to do more. You know, I've always wanted to pursue more, get more subs. Honestly, make more money off content creation. Be like a true content creator that people click on when they see the video. Like, I don't know if that's me yet. I don't know if there's any of you guys that are even going to be watching up until this point that, you know, when you see a TBanj video drop, you jump on it. You want to watch it. Like, I don't know if that's a thing. I see people always going in for the first comment, the first like, but am I truly a creator that's made it yet? So for me, I've got bigger and better things planned than just sitting in Albion. I know a lot of you guys watch me for Albion, but, you know, to grow, and you guys kind of have to be understanding in this. I'm trying more things out at the moment. What is this? Well, that's Soldier Boots. Where's the other kid go? Here he is. Here he is. Don't wiggle in my face, because 1Q and you're dead. You're bleeding. Brawls. Brawls. I saved your life. How could you ever repay me? A kiss, maybe, Cactus? A small kiss, maybe? But yeah, I want to move on to bigger and better things. So if you guys got any suggestions on what games you want to see me play, typically as a creator, I'll give you a little bit of a rundown, because I was a social media manager. I know what content creation is. I know how to grow in content creation. Like, I'm not an idiot. I know from Albion, I have to branch off into another MMO, or basically go down the line that everybody else seems to and do like react videos. But I still want to keep in touch with a lot of you guys, even when I'm done with Albion. So I kind of want to give you guys content that I know you'll enjoy. So I kind of want to stick in the MMO genre, or stuff that's similar to MMOs. But yeah, I think I've done a pretty good job at giving you guys a little bit of a rundown of probably too much personal information, but hey, it is what it is. I'm here as like a personality creator. For me, the gameplay honestly is just like a side quest to me. A lot of people say I'm good at the game. A lot of people like watching the gameplay. But for me, if I could just hold on to, you know, 5-10% of the viewers who just want to chill with me and chat to me, then that to me means more than anything. I want to get back into a lot of like the funny stuff though. Like, I feel like with me falling a bit out of touch and love with Albion, like, I've lost the funny moments that I used to have with, like, me chatting shit to players and stuff like that. I just don't find myself funny anymore whenever I play these games. So I was planning stuff like going back to old PlayStation 2 games, like getting an emulator on my PC and just playing like old PlayStation 2 games, reminiscing on the past, like just playing stuff, or maybe even some like scary horror games that we can play together on stream and you guys just get to take the piss out of me, whatever it might be. If you guys have any suggestions of what you want to watch, I know it's kind of my job as a creator to come up with that, but you guys are what honestly have always dictated this channel, and I don't, like I say, want to be stuck playing Albion forever. So I want to give you guys something that if I'm not going to play Albion, you guys are going to love and enjoy anyway, and just want to sit there and watch Banj for being Banj. But yeah, you're all up to date with everything. Coming up on 30k subs. I appreciate the hell out of all of you. We're maybe like 500, 600 away by the time this this video goes up. But yeah, I'm going to diversify the content on Albion to, you know, keep me a little bit more excited with it. You know, we'll have gameplay, we'll have gathering, we'll have some like chatty stuff like this if people enjoy it. I know this was a long video, so if any of you made it to this point in the video, type ding dong in the comment section below so I know, and I can let you know how much I appreciate your support and sticking by it. But yeah, honestly, that's about it for me after about an hour of chatting shit. Appreciate you all. Have a good one.